Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking about What If Episode 4. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent Casina, and today we're going to review What If Episode 4, entitled What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart and Head of His Hands. But before we jump into the review, let me please ask you to do one thing. Please subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel grow, lets you know when I drop new videos, all that good stuff. So, Episode 4 of What If. Now, so far, I feel like this show has been kind of wobbly, like in terms of quality. Some are good, some are bad, some are better than others. And as I've said in my previous reviews, I think that is typical for a show. You know, it's probably appropriate for a show based on what if comic books. Not all the what if comic books are bangers. You get some that are great, you get some that are so-so, you get some that are terrible. I think we're back on the incline here in terms of what these episodes have to offer. I really did like this episode entitled What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands. Even though there is no true happy ending, I really felt like, you know, this show had consequence. It maybe meant something a little more, and it was more of a character study. Like, really, Doctor Strange is the only character in here. You have the Ancient One, you have Wong a little bit, but you're not really interacting with anybody. Maybe Umba. I want to know if that guy was really Cagliostro or not, but you know, he had a couple of small interactions, but really it's Doctor Strange at war with himself, basically, for most of the episode. And I thought that was kind of a cool take to see the timeline split in twain and have them kind of, you know, reemerge again. And then for the heroic Doctor Strange to lose was a pretty cool what-if moment, and typical of what-if stories, where typically the heroes, you know, maybe they don't win or something goes wrong, and that's exactly what you had here. I thought it was a little weird to have him lose Christine in the same car wreck that he lost his hands in. I was like, well, so if you're saying that this is a moment here, what moment exactly are we in? Like, is this a different dinner where something went wrong and he got into a car wreck earlier in his lifetime? Or is this meant to be like the same night that he had the car wreck in the original film? It's like the same car, it's the same setting at night, it's the same, like, you know, it's not raining or anything like that. So it's kind of a little weird. I don't really remember the movie that well to say that, oh yeah, Christine was there, she wasn't there, or they were on a date, because they weren't dating when the movie started. They were like past romances, you know, like they were dating at some point in the past, but not at the time where we joined Doctor Strange in the movie. So I thought that was a little weird. But it was a pretty cool, interesting idea to say, like, oh yeah, he really loves Christine at this moment, and instead of losing his hands, he loses the love of his life. I thought that was very interesting. Even though, like, the setup was a little wonky in terms of, like, when does this take place exactly? Like, where is this what-if moment? Because it didn't seem like it was inside the movie Doctor Strange. Like, most of the other what-if episodes have had what-if moments inside one of the existing Marvel films. But, you know, I thought it was cool. It was very interesting to see that it didn't really drive Doctor Strange mad, like, right away. It didn't turn him into a villain right away. It took a long time for him to get that way, and maybe not villainous, but in terms of, like, heartbreak or broke his mind much, much, much later on. I mean, he was talking about studying the books for centuries and things like that. So I guess you can kind of presume, like, it didn't really affect Doctor Strange that much up until the moment he decided to you know, take the Eye of Agamotto and the Time Stone into his own hands and go after what he wanted. And, you know, the Ancient One split the timeline in twain at that point. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to see, that, like, it doesn't really make Doctor Strange evil necessarily. He's not like a mustache-twirling villain trying to get all power to consume everything. He just really wants this one thing, and in doing that one thing, he is so driven he ignores everything else. He's got blinders on, and he ignores everything else that's going on, and that makes the universe fall apart. And the ending here, where you have Strange just, like, you know, just defeated because he did accomplish his goal, but he did it in such a way, or he didn't see the warning signs along the way, or didn't pay attention to him when people told him, you know, don't do this, you're going to end up destroying everything. He did not care. enough about everything else to realize that once he got what he wanted, even she would be subject to whatever else was happening in the universe. And he saw Christine disappear in front of him. That's pretty tragic. Like, yeah, you did change the timeline in absolute point in time, but look what happened. She was around for 15 minutes, and she saw you. Christine seeing Doctor Strange as he truly was, with all these like beasts coming out of him and things like that, was really interesting. Kind of lets everybody know, like, this is what Doctor Strange is at this point in time. He's kind of a monster, because he's done so many things. He's absorbed so many creatures or evils or whatever you want to call it, that he's not really himself anymore. And what he's putting out there is kind of an illusion. I thought that was very interesting. I also thought it was very fun that they gave evil Doctor Strange his real cloak. So if you've seen the movie, you're like, all right, he's just got a collar, right? But you look at the comics version of Doctor Strange, and he's designed by Steve Ditko. He gave him this really wacky collar, this really wacky cloak that's kind of reminiscent of Spawn in terms of like what we've seen in the media, but actually Spawn's cloak is really reminiscent of Doctor Strange's. It's got this big collar with like this pointy area, and it goes above his head. It almost makes him look like he has devil horns. And I think Disney probably pulled that back. Marvel pulled that back for the movie design, although it works in animation here spectacularly when you give Doctor Strange kind of an evil moment to have and give him this kind of silhouette of these giant horns now that he's absorbed all these like malevolent creatures from these different dimensions and things like that. So I really liked how they brought back the classic cape into the Marvel Universe, into this design. I thought that was a whole lot of fun. It's definitely a nod to the fans to be like, oh, he finally got his cape, yay! Even though it's like an animated property or whatever. So maybe he'll get it in the next movie. I don't know. I hope they do a little bit more, because I think they proved that it worked here. Maybe they did try it. Maybe there's some costume test with Benedict Cumberbatch and they were like, nah, it's too much. But I'm hoping for the next Doctor Strange movie they kind of bring that back. I mean, Sam Raimi's directing it. Hopefully, he loves the classic designs and stuff like that, so maybe he's going to exaggerate that collar a little bit more. That's my hope. But in terms of the episode, I kind of did like this one. I kind of did. It wasn't as fun. It's not lighthearted. It's very dark. But I think if you're going to have what-if episodes, having them go dark every once in a while is kind of a good thing. And we certainly had that a little bit in the last episode with What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. I didn't really like that one per se. But I like that this one, I think I liked it because it was dark and it was character focused instead of like all these different things happening at once, and you really didn't have anything to grab onto. Whereas here, you're really grabbing onto Steven's like betrayal of himself, of his own, his own code and morals and things like that, and the dichotomy of Strange seeing himself on this path and talking to each other. And then you even had a conversation with the Watcher, which we haven't had in, any of the episodes before. Nobody's ever really noticed the Watcher. You always see him in the background in one or two shots, the way you do in a What If comic book, where you're like, oh yeah, Uatu's there, he's watching. Here, Stephen Strange actually has the power to notice him, in the middle of the episode. I thought that was cool. I did not expect him at the end to turn to Uatu and be like, you're a god, you can change this, and Uatu be like, no, I don't do that. I thought that was really, really cool. And I'm wondering if we're going to get more of those moments as it goes on. I saw a Hyundai ad, I think it was on Twitter or something like that, where they're using, Hyundai, I drive a Hyundai Sonata now, a very nice one, and they're fantastic cars. I really like mine. But they've teamed up with Marvel to do all these different ads, like Captain America, Captain America has an ad with Hyundai, who used to be the Falcon. I thought I saw there was one with Scarlet Witch or something. There's definitely one with Loki that I saw. And now there's a What If ad that's playing around where you have, seems to be like all the What If characters from the show are fighting bad guys, and somebody drives up in a Hyundai and is like, get in! And they get in the Hyundai and drive off. And it's an animated ad, which is pretty cool. But I'm wondering if this was something that like they made up entirely, or if this is kind of hinting on the finale of this season, if we're going to combine all these characters at a later date. I've heard rumors of it, but I'm trying to stay away from all the episode titles and spoilers and things like that, because I want to watch them fresh and have a real reaction to them instead of like searching things out. And I think that's the best way to kind of enjoy things. I'm fine with watching trailers and stuff, but like I saw there was a clip released of this episode a couple days ago, and I was like, I'm not going to watch that because I'm just going to watch the episode. It's short enough that I don't need a trailer for the episode to tease me. I'm gonna watch it anyway. But I think we're on the incline here. I like this. I like this character stuff, and I think that's where they need to focus with these what if episodes, is more on character and how a what if moment changes the character instead of a what if moment changing the events of a storyline. Changing a character is way more interesting now that we're 10, 11 years into this Marvel Universe experiment with these characters we love. That's way more interesting than it is to just say, oh, the event changed and this is how the story changed from there. So I think that's always been the strength of the what if comic books, when you see how a character changes and not how just the events change. I mean, that's what I dinged the second episode for with Star-Lord being T'Challa. They didn't change the character. And I definitely feel like if you were kidnapped at 15 and went on a space adventure, you'd definitely be a different person, not exactly the same. So I think we're on the incline here with What If Episode 4. Let me know what you guys thought down below in the comments if you like this episode better than others. If you didn't like it, let me know. Let me know why. We will talk about it down there. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.